Hello, and welcome to a Word of Hope for Monday of the 15th week in Ordinary Time. I'm Brother Joe Trout, coming to you from St. Vincent Ferrer Parish. And in today's Gospel, we get that challenging line from Christ, where he tells us that unless we love him more than father and mother, we're not worthy of him. And that if we're not willing to lay down our lives to follow after Christ, if we're not willing to lose our lives for his sake, we're not worthy of him. We'll lose our lives. But if we do lay down our lives for his sake, we'll find it. Okay, what does this mean? Well, you may have seen some of those Christian acronyms that go around joy. Jesus, others, yourself is this path to happiness, that putting Christ first is that source of our joy as Christians. But why? Why is it that God has to come first in our lives? We could look at this in a ton of different ways, but I've got like 2 minutes left. So let's think of this in terms of our value in the first place. Why is my life something I don't really want to lose? What makes it so important? And there's a lot of different ways to think about value in this world, right? Often when we say value or worth, we think in the $20 bill sense, right? That something is worth what I can get for it. It's worth an exchange. It has this kind of economic value. But that's not the only way to think about value. In fact, think of a memento. Think of a family keepsake, something that is priceless. And by that I mean something that there is no amount of money that you would trade for it because it's irrelevant. So like your mother's rosary, your grandfather's rocking chair, something that is worth anything to you because it has nothing to do with money. It's because it's cherished by someone. It's cherished by you because it means something. And I think we should consider ourselves in that kind of way. To think of ourselves as God's mementos, his keepsakes. That why is it that my life has value? It's because I am cherished by God. That I am something that he loves. And that there's nothing he would trade for me. He was willing to become a human being and die for me. And that doesn't mean that I have to feel loved that way all the time, but it means that that's how God views me all the time. And that my value at the very beginning comes from being loved into existence. Now, of course, we would say that being loved by family and friends, brother and sister, all of that adds to my worth. It gives me this deeper sense of how I'm loved, and it's often the kind of love we know first. But it's not the love that made me. It's not the love that brought me into the world. It's not the love that sustains every bit of my being. And so I think this is really crucial anytime we hear these messages of we have to follow Christ first. Because that means we have to understand who we are. That if I don't have at the very heart of my life this notion that I am God's, and that my value is as his keepsake, if I forget that I'm a keepsake and start to think of myself as a $20 bill or just loved by my family and friends, I have lost all notion of who I am. And so when I'm willing to lay down my life to follow after the one who loves me, I'm actually finding my life. I have found my value, and I have found what makes me so incredibly good. So I'd ask you today to consider that idea. What is your value? What does it mean to be a keepsake of God? And how does that filter into every little decision on how we live our lives seeking after God? Thank you, and God bless.